How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all well. I'm Carl, if you don't know, and welcome to Waterside Workshop. So, we're still on the old black Corsa. I'm on part 2 of the series now. It's the Corsa D SXi 1.2. And in part 1, we talked about a walk around, shoot your bits and pieces, what needed doing, some body work on the rear quarters, some work on the wheels need doing, down the sides of the sills. There's some scratching, the whole car is like really flat and chalky, if that makes sense. And yeah, there's quite a lot to do. So we started in part 1. We done a load of prep work. We sorted out the quarter on the driver's side around that side. We sorted out the rear bumper, got rid of that damage as well. And everything's prepped. I've done a little bit of work off camera and stuff and done some extra bits. But I'm now about to pull the old sheets over the car and get the old primer gun out. So I'll spin you around and show you where we are, and let's get started. Let's go. So as you can see, the back wheels are actually completely finished. You saw in part 1 where I got rid of all that horrible curbing and put them in primer. Well, I've actually gone right through the other stages, done all the silvers and lacquers as well. They did start off like this. They were quite nasty. All 4 are the same pretty much, they're all curbed on the spokes. But yeah, as you can see, looking pretty good. Got the old sheets there ready to pull over the car, which I'll do in a minute. This is the other one, looking absolutely lovely as well. All this quarter's all prepped. I've masked off the lines just inside the door and stuff so I don't get it, full of primer in there and stuff. And then I'll pull a sheet over the whole car, and we'll get ready to start doing a bit of primer. I've just finished off the prep on the bumpers. There was an extra bit down the bottom there I'd just done. And this big area up top here is all sorted and done now as well. So that bumper's all ready for a bit of primer as well. And what I'll do is I'll just wipe it down off camera, ready to go. And then I'll just flick over the repaired areas. The rest can be flattened down. Same as like in here, I'll take these lights out when I get a chance. And I don't need to go anywhere near them while I'm doing these primer bits. And then all of in here will all get scuffed back before I put like blacks and lacquers and stuff like that on. So I'm just cutting this little area out here, ready to do this bit. Scissors are not the best, to be honest, they're a bit past it. I'll put that on my list to get some more. And all we basically do is cut it out. And people say don't put a masking line with the table warmer. to be honest, that's just rubbish. That line will sand out. If you put 2, 3, 4 coats on, that will quite easily sand out. I've been doing it for 30 plus years like that. And that'll come out easy. And stick it along the back of the arch if you can as well, like so. I didn't wipe it with the old cleaner before I done it this time, but that is starting to stick. And then what I'll do is I'll just scotch wipe this shiny bit, like so. In fact, I might actually just do the whole thing just to settle everything in. As simple as that. All sides ready, I'll still wipe it down when we're ready to start mixing the gun and stuff. So round to the other side. Obviously we've got a lot bigger area here to do on this one. I'm trying to cut a bit better this time, but they're still not good. To do a really sharp end, to be honest. I think they're going to have to go in the bin. Obviously only cut out where you need to. I always use the excess to cover up the wheels, especially if they've just been painted, like these ones there, and the tyres. And we just need to tape up the areas where we don't want any primer. We'll do what a little bit inside the doors and stuff, I ain't going to do that this time. I'm going to do that on a separate hit. Do some other little bits of prep to do in there. My main objective is to get this bit done, these little bits in the corners. The reason why I've gone around that area there is I don't want to do the plastic. With master on there, I'll probably really hard to the edge. I might get right to the edge. We'll do whatever I need to do, but pretty good. All we've got to do now is get the temperatures up with the old space heater, and then I'll be on here rebuilding my gun and getting ready to go. time to get the gun together. I had it soaking away just to make sure there's no old primer or anything inside it. These are fun to put on, these gloves. They start off really small, but they stretch to hand size, but they're special ones that are resistant to thinners and stuff. Right. That's what come out of that lot when I've done the first transfer over. They're going to use another clean one. Quite a lot come out. I have scrubbed it with all my different tools and stuff, but there is a couple of bits should still come off. Cleaner you get your gun, the better things spray, the better things come out, the smoother they lay down. Basically just helps everything. I always give it a quick wipe over, even though I know I've done it already. Check all your tip, make sure there's no paint on your needles and stuff. And that goes straight through like so. Lay it down, but make sure you're going to muck on your bent. You can see what comes out of these, quite a lot of muck. So that's our tip. Right. They're basically good together like so. No, that goes the other way around. Actually, that screws inside the gun. And you put that over the needle. Screw that in like so, and then that basically makes it stay wherever you put it. I'll do different things, but I'll look for the line, and I'll probably go 1. Feels pretty good. Basically gone about 2.5 turns. I like to go quite wide with primer. Let quite a lot out because you're trying to seal up a repair basically. Still quite a lot coming off that. The last thing you want is these bits coming off when you're in there, you know, trying to do your final coats. Obviously I don't use this gun for the black or the lacquers. Yeah, I've got this is my main primer gun, but I've got like dedicated lacquer guns. And I've got the blue version, which is a dedicated base coat colour gun. And I keep them all separate and then let them do the other jobs that the other ones sort of thing. I keep a primer on primer, base coat on base coat, and lacquer on lacquer. Just give them a nip up. Don't want them too tight, you want everything still to move. I'd like to line that all up so it's all straight. Rip me gloves. Good job I got our box sitting there. That should be good. Right, I'm gonna mix me pot and stuff up. So I don't use them, I use this special system. It slots into there. We'll get some primer on the go, we'll get rid of this yuck. We'll start putting on the car. Ready to go, let's go, woohoo! Oh. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to do probably 3-4 more coats of that. Obviously I'm not going to show you all the coats. So I'll just move on to the next stage. Just put the old kettle on, and have a hot chocolate. I have to wait sort of 30 minutes to 45 minutes per coat. So as you can imagine, that's quite a long process. What I normally do is I find something else to do, or I go and pick something up local, or I'll sit there and do a bit of editing on the old computer, etc, etc. So I'll bring you back when we get more interesting. Obviously once I've got these coats on, I have to leave it a couple of days for it to go rock hard as well, because then you have to sand it back, smooth it all in, etc, etc. Then you have to cut the sheets on the car all back and get the panels where you actually want to black everything out. So there's a lot more stages. So I'll bring you back when it's a bit more interesting. It's going well so far anyway. So as you just saw, we just removed this passenger front wheel, and this is what we've got to deal with. Not the nicest. We'll get stuck in, see what we can do with it. Let's get a few grades going and see if we can get some of that smooth. So what I've done here is I started off with a bit of 80 grit and I sanded as best I could around all of like the gouges, the deep scratches, the edges of the wheel where it had caught curb and stuff like that. And then inside the spokes and stuff where there was like little chunks of paint or stone chips that hit them and took little chunks out. So I got right stuck in with the 80. And then after the 80 grit, I changed down to a 180 and done the same again, went over the whole wheel. And then from there, once it was starting to get smooth and we couldn't see the scratches or chips or anything like that anymore, then I went down to 320 and done the same again, just smoothed out the whole wheel. And then I went to 500, which basically smoothed everything out, ready to sort of spray a primer on it. I then got Scotch-Brite and done inside all the spokes and stuff like that. And that basically made the wheel look really nice and smooth, and none of the repairs were there. They pretty much all went. Didn't have to put any filler in the wheel whatsoever. Just managed to flatten everything out, smoothing it in, shaping it back up. And it looked really nice, as you'll see in a minute in the next segment. But yeah, it went all nice and well. And then after that, obviously got the cloths, and I got some degreaser. Give the whole wheel a really good clean down. And wiped everything up, even including the tyre, etc. You don't want no dirt or anything going anywhere, nowhere nasty. And you always got to make sure you do the little holes where the wheel nuts go as well, because all the dust and dirt and everything all collects in there. You're always doing there. Good little trick in there is a toothbrush. You can get a toothbrush in there and spin it round, and that does a fairly good job. If not, you can use a bottle brush. They're pretty good as well, and you should be able to get yourself sorted. But this is how I done it, and I'll show you the wheel in a minute on the next segment. So I'm going to go away from the DA and I'm going to put the flatbed on. See how we get on with that one as well. So I'm sure you get the idea, so I'm going to get stuck into that. Probably going to do half an hour, 40 minutes on it. And then I'll bring you back and show you where we are. So it's a good sometime later now. It's been a while, to be fair. There's quite a few nasty little bits on that one. But I'm now wiping it down. Been through all different grades just to make it look nice and smooth and yummy as it is. Look at that. I know I'm doing the tyre as well, but you'd be surprised what come off a wheel, even though they've been washed. Brake dust. It just basically gets caught into all sorts of things. And what I'll do is I'll do this now. I'll probably do it a couple more times once I've got it masked up and I actually start to put some primer on. And then by the time you actually start painting and stuff, you know you've done it sort of 3 or 4 times. Don't forget the old wheel nut holes. because they hold all the dust and dirt. Not bad. I'll leave that to sit for 15-20 minutes just to make sure this stuff dissolves completely, and then I'll start masking it all up. So, been busy. Obviously, you know this one's all done. I've actually got 3 coats of primer on there now. But I've also done, whipped that one off. And this one's sitting right here. This one's all done as well. So on the 2nd coat of primer. Got a bit of reaction going on, so I might have to send this one back again. We'll have to see, we'll have to let it settle. And then heat it up a little bit and see if we can sort it out. Might just be a bit of thinners coming through. But that's 2 of them, that's both front getting sorted. This is what the back ones are looking like now. Now they're settled down for a few days. Look like brand new wheels, look absolutely lovely. Hopefully the other 2 will look the same and we'll be doing good. So as you can see, we've got a bit of snow. It's laying, it's going everywhere. But it's not stopping me, I'm now going in. I'm going to carry on with this Corsa. So we're back in. I'm now going to flatten this down with a flat sand. I've got some 500 on there. And what we want to do is just, as you can see, very easy, just take that line out. As I was saying back in the other video, these lines don't really hurt. You can do a hard line, it doesn't really do anything. Not going to take a lot to sand this out. Tiny little bit on the end there. Just get rid of that. Yeah, it's a bit crazy outside. Everything's just covered in snow. Literally all we need on that. It says there's a tiny bit there. Try not to go through because I'm keeping all the shape and keeping it all sealed up so it doesn't rust. Just got to take this bit off the end here now. That's pretty much where we are. Pretty good, nice and straightforward. I'm going to attack the other ones now because obviously I've got the other side to do and the bumper to do. So you catch me doing the bumper, getting that ready. Again, we're just smoothing at the sides and then the end of the spray. A bit of like extra texture or on the edges from where I've done the priming. Need to make sure that's all flat. Two there. You can do it with the air as well, but I like to use the flat box to make sure everything's flat. I'll give you a little look. And that ain't going to be very long at all. I'm going to start masking up in a little while. And we're going to start putting the black and the black on. Should be nice, because that'll be nice to get this car all in one colour with no damage. Well, not damage, but no rust. To be fair, I've been underneath and all the seals and that and everything, I love them. They're like new. It's literally just them little end bits where the bumper join, as you saw in the video. Bits like round here, I'll just go and grab a bit and we'll just do that by hand, takes seconds. All you're doing is just taking the top off really where it's a bit rough. Just blending these edges. I'll carry on and do the rest out of camera. I'm just going to go around that corner. You're going to want to see me do all that, and then I've obviously got all of that side to do as well. So I'll do that as well off camera. And we'll get nearer the process. I'm ready to spray. So all the prime bits are sanded, but remember to do all the shiny bits of black left now. I'm obviously using a Scotch Brite. Making sure I can't see any more damage. There's a couple of tiny scratches, but they'll go with the paint. And if I find any sort of little bit deeper ones like them there, you just dig in there a bit. Take the surface off. And you'll find that most of them will just go flat smooth. Don't have to be 100% perfect because when you put the black over, I'll fill in the other little bits. I don't want the car 100%. I want it to look like it's never had no paint, not been restored, if that makes sense. Like on that quarter, there's a tiny little dent left on that quarter. That is a tiny, minute one. But you will be able to see it. I don't blame it on purpose to make it look like that quarter's never been cut. Because that's such a nice car, obviously with full service history and all sorts of stuff going for it. A couple of bits here that need sanding through because they're little chunks out of the paintwork. You do want to make sure we get them ones. If I go through too far, I'll pass the primer and I'll just flick a little bit on with the tin. But there ain't nothing too crazy there, so make us worry about anything. They're literally just tiny little scuffs where someone's been using the boot basically. You just flatten it down to the point like that, get it smooth. And then when you put your black on, that will flatten over. Normally I'd only put sort of 2 and a bit coats on. I'll probably go 3.5 on purpose now, just to get rid of them bits, not them pieces there. Just took the number plate loads down and I put them in the boot. they're just going to do up all around here. Get the rest of the bumper ready. So you don't need to see that, you get the idea of what I'm doing. Get that all prepped and I'll move on to the other side. So we're around the other side, sorting out the shape here. It's all feeling pretty good. There's a tiny bit in the middle here I need to straighten out, but nothing a bit of 500 won't do. Tiny runs. I'll put it on quite fixed, I want to get nice and straight. Nothing we can't get out. Feeling pretty good. What we're trying to do is just shape everything out so it feels nice. And then we'll get the block and we'll just flatten it down slightly more. And that will do it. All looking good. Grab the block. Bit of 500 on there. I ain't got any flat bits at the moment, so I'm using these. You really want to scratch it like that. What we'll do is just cut the side off. We'll add that to the bottom. Obviously all this mess right here, I'll just tidy up as I'm going along. Once all this mess is done, I'll blow everything down, hoover everything up. And then it's going to be a case of starting masking. I've got a couple of bits inside the doors to do. We'll do off camera just in there. We'll just look a bit primer and then when I flatten. You've got to keep this block as flat as possible when you're doing this. That's where you're keeping all your shape. That's what I'm trying to make sure it's 100%. I don't like leaving any bits. From what I can feel, but there. It's not easy to do a whole quarter panel like this. So if you've never done one before, don't expect to just jump on and do one and that come out perfect. It's quite a hard job. Getting all the different angles right. Getting your arch lines right. Second arch line. This goes over like that and then under. Down here, there's a line there. There's a line here. That's not straightforward. You want them ones to be quite crisp but not sharp, if that makes sense. If they're sharp, they'll look different to the others. do believe I can not feel anything. Tiny bit there. Yep, not bad at all. That'll do, there's no point in keeping on at every little stage because you'll get bored, but that's sorting out quite nicely. Okay, so next obviously, if I'm going to paint all this quarter, I'm going to paint in here as well. So I'm going to take the rollers off. If they'll let me, they're going to be a bit tough probably. Just got to find where they'll start to get moving. Once you get moving, you can normally get them off. Pretty tough. We have a hammer on with the plastic as well from these. Lift one up and find out through. There we go. That whole bit off because it's going to go right around there. And there's also another rubber up there that got a feeling that's glued on. No, it's not. One with little tabs. So we can get that off as well. It's good news, you don't want to paint all over that. It's fun to put back on it, bloody things, but you have to do what you have to do. Someone's actually glued that one. And the top is just a run. It's not so bad. Keep it all inside the door. I ain't going to show you the whole process, but I'll basically mask up the door latch. I'll mask inside the door, and obviously we'll go around the edge of the window here. We've got to flatten off all the black. What we're going to do, that teeny little dent I said about is up here. I'm going to leave that to make sure there's nothing else. I have to give it a good old flatten down because it's got a lot of tar and stuff on it. Otherwise we're getting in here around these edges. The door will have to stay open while I do the job. So we'll wrap the whole door and the rest of the car as well. So I'll carry on. I'll do that in both sides. I'll let you have a quick look before we start doing anything else. Well, I've just had a mega rearrange. I got rid of the tables that I had down the sides. I couldn't get the doors open. Obviously I need to work inside the doors, like so. And there's only a gap about that big between there and the wall. This unit is quite a bit smaller than my old one. So I had to get tied up on both sides. Got rid of that big table this side as well, and one of them toys and stuff. That's from a different business that we do. Got all in bags of rubbish, as you can see. And I've got this door open, and that's basically coming right over here as well. So need a lot more room than what you think, to be honest, to get around it and do what you got to do. But yeah, it's nice to have a good little tied up now and again. I think I might even condense all this lot down and get some cupboards and try and make things a bit smaller here so I've got a bit more room. Because, like I say, when I'm doing a car like this and they've got big long doors and that's a free door, that's a bit of a pain. And this is not the biggest car. If I had a big Mercedes or something, you know, something big in here, or a transit van or something like that, it would be quite tight for room. So I'm going to get rid of all this lot now. I've got a car full of stuff to take home and get rid of, and yeah, it's going to be fun. But anyway, I did get the bumper all prepped, as you can see. So we are getting somewhere. Obviously everything's all flattened down now. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'll try and show you how well that shape is. The shape of that quarter is actually really, really nice. But you'll see it better once I get some black paint and some lacquer on there. I'm pretty happy there's no ripples and bits and pieces in it. I've just got to come along here now. I've just masked up the old identity tag. And they're going to do the same with this. And then got a bit of work in here to do. Just a couple of tiny little bits, as you can see there. I'll get really close in. See them little stone chips? They've started to rust. I'm just going to sand them out. There's another little bit there. And then these little scratches along the side of here. where people have been getting in and out with their shoes. Get rid of all that, and then we can blend right in, right down there, and come right along here, up round the top here, right round there, and I'll actually go right down to the other side of this window here, and we'll come right up along the top, do this whole quarter, and all the way down into this quarter. So we do the job properly, and that will look really good. No blendings, no bits and pieces here and there, just all done properly and nice. As you can see, I've flicked a bit of primer down there as well. As I said, never leave any bare metal. And we are getting there. Well, I've just had a mega rearrange. I got rid of the tables that I had down the sides. I couldn't get the doors open. Obviously, I need to work inside the doors, like so. And there's only a gap about that big between there and the wall. This unit is quite a bit smaller than my old one. So I had to get tied up on both sides. Got rid of that big table this side as well, and all them toys and stuff. That's from a different business that we do. Got all in bags of rubbish, as you can see. And I've got this door open, and that's basically coming right over here as well. So need a lot more room than what you think, to be honest, to get around it and do what you got to do. But yeah, it's nice to have a good little tidy up now and again. I think I might even condense all this lot down and get some cupboards and try and make things a bit smaller here, so I've got a bit more room. Because, like I say, when I'm doing a car like this and they've got big long doors and that's a free door, that's a bit of a pain. And this is not the biggest car. If I had a big Mercedes or something, you know, something big in here, or a transit van or something like that, I'd be quite tight for room. So I'm going to get rid of all this lot now. I've got a car full of stuff to take home and get rid of, and yeah, it's going to be fun. But anyway, I did get the bumper all prepped, as you can see. So we are getting somewhere. Obviously everything's all flattened down now. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'll try and show you how well that shape is. The shape of that quarter is actually really, really nice. But you'll see it better once I get some black paint and some lacquer on there. I'm pretty happy there's no ripples and bits and pieces in it. I've just got to come along here now. I've just masked up the old identity tag, and they're going to do the same with this. And then got a bit of work in here to do, just a couple of tiny little bits, as you can see there. I'll go really close in. See them little stone chips, they're starting to rust. I'm just going to sand them out. There's another little bit there. And then these little scratches along the side of here, where people have been getting in and out with their shoes. Get rid of all that, and then we can blend right in, right down there, and come right along here, up round the top here, right round there, and I'll actually go right down to the other side of this window here, and we'll come right up along the top, do this whole quarter, and all the way down into this quarter. So we do the job properly, and that will look really good. No blendings, no bits and pieces here and there, just all done properly and nice. As you can see, I've flicked a bit of primer down there as well. As I said, never leave any bare metal. And we are getting there. Well, it's looking a bit different. As you can see, it's all masked up, all the edge prepping's all done. It's looking a bit weird. I've got sheets over the doors and stuff. Sometimes you just have to do what you got to do to get the car covered up. But I look a bit weird, but that's going to do the job. Obviously most of it, or all of it is all covered up. Got a red sheet on this side. What I normally use them for is just covering things up, but I don't want to get paint on, but they're actually covering the doors today. Obviously I've masked in the gaps and stuff. Got really tight around all the doors. All the trims are out. I've been in there and sanded that all flat, made sure it's all going to stick when I paint in there. Done around the edges of the windows, flattened that all out as well. That's fiddly and fun to do. Then I masked the line along the roof where the little gully is. We're coming down there and we'll finish along there. But yeah. It's been fun. It must have took a good couple of hours, I reckon. It took a long time, but that's where we are, and we're pretty much ready to do a bit of painting. The bumper over there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe everything down with the panel wipe, you know, grease remover, etc, etc, and then going to get the guns out. It's definitely been a weird one there. I had to have the heater on for a couple of hours just to get enough heat to actually make the panels so they're not ice cold to the touch. So we've now got a half decent temperature in here. I'm going to come over here and sort out a bit of this light over here, tidy up this bench a bit, get rid of some of the old primer ones. That's the primer gun, we want the other guns out. Got a whole litre here. A base coat, that's the one I'm going to be using this time. It's an old lacquer that need to go. And yeah, we'll get mixed up, get the guns and stuff out. Base coat guns sitting down there all ready to be used. And we'll get some gloves on, and so I'll wipe this down a couple of times first, and I'll give it a good 15 minutes or so in between each time I wipe it down, just to make sure that all them solvents and stuff dissolve. Otherwise you'll paint straight over the top of the black and end up with leather reactions, which you definitely don't want. Oh. So, knackered. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's been don't know how many hours. A long day. We've just put the last coat of lacquer on. So we've done 5 coats of black and 4 coats of lacquer. And that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to let it settle down a little bit. And I'll take you in there. We'll have a little wander around it. And then that'll be the end of this one. I'll bring you back in on part 3. When I peel it all off and, you know, sort of strip it down and stuff and get ready to put the bits back on. See what we actually got. But it's looking pretty good. A couple of tiny runs on the bumper. But nothing unusual, nothing to worry about. They'll sand out. There's a few bits of rust. Rust? No, not rust. There's a few bits of dust that are landed, but they'll flatten out once it's settled. So I'll probably leave it a couple of days before I touch it, at least, and then come back to it and we'll go from there. So see you in part 3. We'll just take you in and let you have a look first.